Carol Sanick, and you're listening to my podcast, or my audio essay. That's what I call them because they're about 5 minutes long. Today, I'm talking about the quiet frequency of sovereignty. So, yeah, I'm Carol Sanick. This is Carol Sanick Unscripted, so let's start. Well, it's early. The kind of early where the rest of the world is still dreaming, but the house is starting to breathe. I'm sitting here in my command center. That's what I call it, my command center. My dual monitors are glowing. My coffee is warm in my hands. And for the first time in a long time, I realized that I'm not just sitting in a room. I'm sitting in my own sovereignty. For years, oh yes, and years, my life was lived at a different frequency. It was a frequency of alert. Ever felt that way? Yeah, it was the static of wondering what's coming next. You know that feeling. The high-pitched hum of anxiety and the frantic noise of life that felt like it belonged to everyone but me. If you've ever lived through a rupture, or if you've ever had to run for your life, you know exactly what that noise sounds like. It's deafening. Deafening. But Soul Talk, and that's where I'm coming from today, isn't about the noise. It's about what happens when the noise finally stops. I used to think that being sovereign meant being tough, or being loud, or standing on a mountain proving I survived. But as I sit here this morning, I realized it's much quieter than that. Sovereignty is the ability to wake up at 5 a.m. and decide that my heart is allowed to be at peace. It's the permission I give myself to be upset when things go wrong, like losing a week's worth of work, and that recently happened, but then having the steady hand to rebuild it one word at a time. We spend so much of our lives being told who we should be. You know that? You know that's true. We are daughters, wives, survivors, authors. But underneath all those titles is the soul. And the soul doesn't care about titles. The soul cares about the rhythm. My rhythm today includes a four-legged office manager named Rosie, of course. It includes the rain hitting the window. It includes the truth that even when I feel unsophisticated with the technology around me, my spirit is highly sophisticated in the art of beginning again. I want to talk to you today about your frequency. What does your life sound like when you aren't performing for somebody else? Good question, right? When you aren't running, what does it look like? When you aren't trying to prove you're okay, what does it look like? What does it sound like? Tuning into this new frequency doesn't mean the past disappears. I still have the scars. I still remember the shoes I ran in. But those memories no longer hold the remote control to my life. That is the shift. Got that? When the memories no longer hold the remote control to your life. That is the shift. In my third memoir, the one I'm working on right now called Held, I explore what it looks like to finally stop bracing for impact. For 20 years, I lived in a love that was a sanctuary. But here's the secret about being held. You have to be willing to let go of the run before you can truly feel the embrace. Sovereignty and being held might seem like opposites, but they're actually two sides of the same coin. You can truly be held when you are whole enough to know you're safe. When you know that if the embrace ever let go, you would still be standing. You would still have your command center. you would still have your soul. As I look at my dual monitors this morning, I see more than just screens. I see the architecture of the life I chose. I see a schedule I created. I see a path forward that isn't dictated by trauma, but by purpose. So if you're listening to this and you feel like you're still in the noise, if your frequency is still set to survival, I want you to know that the quiet is waiting for you. It isn't something you find, it's something you build. You build it by choosing your peace over your productivity. You build it by feeding the dog, pouring the coffee, and deciding that today you are the one in charge of your joy. You know, you don't need to be a celebrity to have a legacy. You just need to be sovereign. You just need to be you, unscripted and unafraid of the silence. Because it's in that silence, that beautiful, sovereign silence, where we finally hear what our soul's been trying to tell us all along. You are safe, you are home, and you are held. And I want to thank you all so much for listening, because you know what comes next? That's a wrap.